You're listening to The Journey podcast. The Journey is a ministry of Southcrest Baptist Church for those in college or college-aged. We hope this podcast helps you find your greatest pleasure and purpose in Jesus.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back.
We're back.
This is fun, man. Yeah.
Enjoy doing this.
Does it feel like it's been a couple of years?
It's been a while. Yeah. It's been a long time.
Actually, it's like a week, right? Like
I
2
think,
weeks, maybe.
Yeah. 7 days.
Yeah. 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been up to in those 7 days?
Man, I'm so excited and nervous about Good Friday and Easter. I think that's what I've been up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I shouldn't be nervous. Done this a bunch of times. I guess I haven't done Good Friday, but
Jesus is alive.
Jesus is alive.
Yeah, you don't have to be nervous
I
anymore.
don't need to be nervous. I think it's more of an excitement.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of planning around here, right? For Easter. But it's going to be.
Do you
awesome.
have any favorite? So this podcast, just fair warning, is going to be centered around Easter. Okay. Because it's
bunnies. We're going to talk about eggs.
Hopefully it doesn't get released after Easter. Because I don't want to spoil any of the Easter surprises for people. Okay, good. Because I don't want to spoil, like, Jesus does get out of.
Oh yes.
Assume.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Yeah. And so
he's alive.
Yeah. But do you have any Easter traditions that y'all do? Like, do y'all hunt eggs?
We do normally do an Easter egg hunt with the family in the backyard and the little kids.
Yeah.
Which is always fun.
Do you know the history behind
I don't.
Easter eggs?
Yeah, tell me about Easter eggs. I have no idea.
Yeah, so there was a bunny rabbit. His name was Clementine.
Okay.
And Clementine, this was probably back in the 1600s.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm worried about whether or not this is true or not. Okay, is he telling the truth right now? Faith, I feel like Faith is feeling the same skepticism that I am.
Fact check me, fact checkers. Clementine.
Like an orange?
Yeah, but that's because his fur was orange.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow.
Yeah. So Clementine was owned by the King of England in the 1600s. And do bunnies lay eggs?
No.
Okay. Then I don't know where I'm going with this story. I was making it up.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You did a good job, keeping the oranges, in there.
Yeah. We hunt eggs too. Yeah, it's fun. Do y'all put money in them?
Yeah. Usually there's like a golden egg or whatever.
Ooh.
I don't know. It's not always golden, but you know what I mean. It's like the treasure egg.
Yeah. Well, that sounds.
Yeah,
is it going to have one of like Trump's gold cards in it?
Oh, for sure. The shoes. Doesn't he have shoes? I think he did some shoes.
Shoes.
They were huge.
Huge shoes.
They're huge. But no, yeah, we'll just do a bunch of candy and then probably a money egg.
Do you have a favorite candy to find in your Easter egg?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Man, I love Sour Patch Kids. But you know what I had yesterday? We order equipment, like sound equipment from Sweetwater. And Sweetwater, what's up, Andrew? Sweetwater always.
Is that where you're from?
The best. No, it's a company. Oh. The company's called Sweetwater. And when they give you deliveries, you get candy. Like they always send you candy, like a little bag with candy in it. Yeah, like you'll have your receipt and then a little bag of candy. And they're awesome. Like their sales reps are great, and this is not an ad, okay, by the way. But like they like get to know you and like figure out what candy you want. Anyways, so they sent us some candy yesterday. Sorry, I already ate it. It's already gone, Andrew. Normally the media guys end up getting the candy because they always get the media deliveries. But I took this box and I opened it and I ate the candy immediately. It was Bit of Honey.
Oh, wow. Old school.
Yeah. And another candy that's very old school, the root beer hard candies. Do you remember those?
That sounds gross.
No. Do you like those or dislike those? I'm gonna go steal them. I thought it was so good.
I love root beer. I don't know that I would love it.
You should try one of these. You should go. We'll go to the front of house. We'll raid the booth. Yeah, with swords drawn high, and we'll get one of those, dude. It tastes just like an A&W.
Really?
Root
this
beer.
is in the venue
A&W, right?
front of house.
I think so. Stay out of my booth, he says. No, it was so good. I had one, but it was also like I gave the new worship president, gave Kenna one.
Yeah.
There were only 2 of the root beer ones, and then Jacob had a bit of honey, but it was kind of a problem because we were trying to have a meeting, and they're like huge. They're pretty big. So
do you know the origin of candy in eggs?
No, tell me about that.
So back in the 1600s, the King of England, would take candy, from little kids, and he would place them in eggs. That's the origin behind it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah. Fact check me.
Fact check. True. Fact check. True.
Yeah. No, Easter, man. I love Easter.
Yeah,
Easter's so much fun.
You gonna wear pastels on Easter Sunday?
I typically do.
I need to get a new Easter shirt.
Yeah, I typically do. We'll see. We'll see what I can come up with. It'll, I don't know. Our family usually tries to match.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Shout out my wife. She usually tries to get us all to match somehow.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. But it'll be a busy week next week.
Yeah. Yeah, I said Easter Sunday, but I guess it's also kind of Easter Saturday up here.
Easter Saturday, Good Friday.
Good Friday.
Yeah.
A lot of services to come to.
Let's talk about why Easter is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it because of the candy and the eggs?
Because of the candy and the eggs.
The clementines, the oranges?
Yeah. Clementine the rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I love Easter. Last night at TNG, we hit on the crucifixion.
End of the series, right?
End of the series.
Mm-hmm.
We hit on the crucifixion. And we only talked really about one part of the crucifixion with Jesus and the criminals on the cross. But, man, the crucifixion is really, really important. And without the crucifixion, you don't have the resurrection, right? But man, there's something about like Easter morning and just this sense of new life. And it breeds, I think, hope too. And I think that's one of the reasons I love it so much. But I want to read something that Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. He says this, and I'm going to explain why I think this is such a cool passage. I'm not going to use this passage for Easter, but I think it is a really great, it's about the resurrection, right? 1 Corinthians 15, in verse 3, he says, "For I passed on to you as most important what I also received, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the 3rd day according to the Scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas, then to the 12. Then he appeared to over 500 brothers and sisters at one time. Most of them are still alive, but some have fallen asleep. Then he appeared to James, then to all the apostles. Last of all, as to one born at the wrong time, he also appeared to me." What's really unique about this passage that Paul has here, most scholars will tell you that this passage Paul did not write. These specific verses in 1 Corinthians 15, specifically 3 through 8, are something that he included in this letter. And this is considered to be like the oldest New Testament script or manuscript that we have, these few verses. And most scholars will tell you that these verses were written probably just months after Jesus was crucified and resurrected. And so Paul's saying, what I passed on to you, this is the most important thing you can know. And I think that should cause us to pause for a second, because like for Paul will tell you, like, man, he had all the knowledge in the world, knew everything there was to know about the law, knew how to follow God. But he says the most important thing that you can know is that Christ died for you and he rose again on the third day. And he goes on later to talk about, like, if Christ did not rise, then everything we do is meaningless.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point in us meeting. There's no point in us worshiping on Sunday if Jesus did not rise on the third day. And so I think that, like, it just gets me fired up about Easter. Easter, especially Easter Sunday, thousands and thousands of people are gathering to celebrate the risen King. And, like, man, one of the things that I feel like I'm going to emphasize is, like, when Jesus says in the Gospels that even if you don't worship me, the rocks will cry out and worship me. And I think one of the things that I want to emphasize on that Sunday is, like, there's no way we're going to allow the rocks to worship Jesus today, because we're going to cry out.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to cry out and worship him because he is alive and he is worthy of our worship. And so, yeah, I love Easter. He goes on to say, like, about the resurrection in verse 50, he says, "What I'm saying, brothers and sisters, is this: flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor can corruption inherit incorruption. Listen, I am telling you a mystery. We will not all fall asleep, but will all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we will be changed. For this corruptible body must be clothed with incorruptibility, and this mortal body must be clothed with immortality. What this corruptible body is clothed with incorruptibility, and this mortal body is clothed with immortality, then the saying that is written will take place: death has been swallowed up in victory. Where death is your victory, where death is your sting. The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." In other words, what he's saying is he's saying, like, Jesus Christ, by being the one who was raised on the third day, is the first fruits of our resurrection as well. Like, because he was risen on the third day, we have the certainty that we will be risen as well with him when he returns. And so, man, I think it's just, like, we celebrate it because he defeated death, hell, and the grave, but we also celebrate the resurrection because it points to the fact that we'll rise again one day too.
Yeah.
And I think that's an exciting thing.
Yeah. It's our hope.
Yeah.
Like purpose and in all the confusion. It's so good.
Yeah.
I wanna ask before we go any further. Like, last night you talked about the thief, the thief on the cross. Yeah. The two men that were crucified next to Jesus, and you said something that I think would be awesome for us to dig into a little bit as we prepare for Easter Sunday, and that's that you said that you thought we identify with that. The first one that's mentioned in the passages that you talked about.
Yeah.
Can you, like, dig into that a little bit more? Like, I think I'm with you, but I think it would be awesome to kind of dig into that a little bit.
Yeah. I think more along the lines of, like, we identify. I think it's really easy to, like, fall into the mode of, like, missing Jesus because of our circumstances in the moment. Like, both of these guys were in the same position, right? Like, they're hanging on the cross, they're being crucified, they're being mocked. All of this is happening, but for some reason, one of them saw Jesus, one of them didn't. And I think one of the reasons, like one of those criminals, criminal number one, if you will, didn't see Jesus because he was focused on his circumstances. That's why he looked at Jesus and said, save us or save yourself and save us. Like essentially like just get us off the cross, like get us off of here, which isn't like when I think about it, like that's a reasonable ask. Like I don't want to be on this cross. Right.
Yeah.
But again, that's focused on your circumstances and kind of going, okay, like I know better than he does right now. And so I need him to get me off of this thing, or I need him to get me out of the trials that I'm going through, or away from the hardships that I'm experiencing, because it's not good for me.
Yeah.
Whereas like, and this is like, we can go through all throughout scripture, like trials and suffering and hardships, like God uses those to refine us, to build us into what he wants us to be, to make us look more like Jesus. And so I think like it's really easy to relate to criminal number one because we can get so caught up in our circumstances. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it, I think that in that moment, now I'm probably like, maybe trivializing it a little bit, but like in that moment, that was probably the biggest thing is like, he just wanted off the cross, whereas criminal number two didn't see Jesus as a means to an end. Like he just saw Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me think. So like I made a note of this last night while you were talking in my phone, because I was like, man, this needs to be crafted into a thought that could be communicated better. So I haven't made it there yet, but like, it made me think of, I think I talked to you about it yesterday morning, but like as we were having coffee before work, about Millie, which most of y'all probably know Millie, right? She's 5. And what I was telling Tyler is that in the car, the other day, she, like driving home from work, I said something to another car. Like I was frustrated. They like cut me off or something. I forget exactly what it was. And I was like, oh, no blinker. Beep. Yeah. Beep. Yeah. Middle finger. No. It wasn't like, I know that I didn't do anything. Like it wasn't really that big. I've definitely gotten more angry at cars than I did at that moment, but I like just said something to the car as though they could hear me. I like said, hey, use your blinker or something like that. And Millie said, why do you do that? And I was like, oh, I was just, sorry, man. I was just frustrated. They didn't follow the rules. And she said, can they hear you? And anyways, right. It was just like a funny moment because I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I shouldn't do that. And then like yesterday morning, we're like driving and like we were like stuck behind a school bus. And I said, what are you waiting for? Because like there was like a big moment where they like were just waiting at the stop sign or whatever. And I was like, come on. Because I should have left early to take her to school. You know what I mean? So we're running behind. And anyways, and so like as you were talking about that same thing last night, I like started thinking about like the reverse of that, of how if I remind Millie that she needs to do something that we have had a conversation about many times that she knows she's supposed to do is the right thing, to not be rude or whatever, something like that, right? Not every time, but it goes a lot different, right? Like it's like, and she gets really mad and she rebels against that. And so like what you were just saying, kind of connecting that to like authority and God's way. Like I think that is so interesting because like that is I do identify with that. Like of like I'm okay with seeing Jesus for who he is, if who he is like aligns with, or like what's the Office quote? Like, lead me when I want to be led. You know what I'm talking about? Anybody that's watched The Office, that Ryan says, right? Like, it's like I'm okay with seeing Jesus if when I see Jesus, it like fits with what I'm okay with seeing. But like as soon as like the guy number one, right, on the cross, right, like you were talking about. it's like seeing his circumstances. So often it's like, I don't want to be corrected by that, right? Or and I feel like we could get into the weeds on what those things could be, what those circumstances could be, right?
Yeah.
But that I totally identify with that, like having moments where I have to like check myself because I'm like, yeah, I mean Jesus, but as long as he agrees with me, and as long as he takes care of me first, and it's convicting.
Yeah, and I think that's I think that's ultimately why so many people do miss Jesus, because they do see him in that, that image of a genie in a bottle who's there to just kind of like grant my wishes. And so if he can't grant my wish of getting me out of this circumstance, if he can't grant my wish of taking me away from suffering, if he can't grant my wish of helping me prosper more, then we start to think, I can't trust him, or I can't follow him.
Yeah. Certainly the real Jesus Christ wouldn't make me have to act in a way that's countercultural, or what I mean, or things like that. Right? We just get stuck in like that's something else that you had said about like the people. They couldn't see past the people.
Oh yeah,
What you said, and I feel like that's the same, equally as convicting, right? Because it's like I'm cool, but as soon as the crowd around me is saying something different, it's like, well, that's probably not really Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
Yeah, I think it's tough. And that's why, like, man, I want to make sure when I'm presenting the gospel to someone, or like sharing this stuff with our college students, like, I don't want to share it in a way that makes it seem like once you accept Jesus, everything's going to be beautiful and easy and smooth sailing, because it's not. In fact, things probably get harder, because like you now are going to be called to live so completely countercultural to the things of the world, and the things that you once like probably cared about and devoted time and energy to kind of get reversed. And so it doesn't get easier. But it, and so I always want to, present it in that way. But, and I think that's why why it's so important to always go back to like what Paul says here, like the resurrection, because the resurrection is where we like find hope. Because if we put ourselves in the shoes of the disciples on that day, on Good Friday, right? Like there was probably a lot of hopelessness in that day.
Yeah, because I think we've talked about this before. They still thought at that point, right?
Yeah,
they still thought that he was gonna draw his sword and
right. Yeah, like I mean, it's the whole reason like they all kind of like disappeared,
right?
Because
it's like, this
isn't what I signed up for.
Yeah.
And so there was probably a lot of hopelessness. Like I just spent the last 3 years of my life, I sold my fishing business, or like I left my fishing business or whatever, and for nothing. And so there's probably a lot of hopelessness. But again, the resurrection is what breeds hope. And I can just imagine that first morning, the women who run to the tomb and Jesus isn't there. I mean, just
like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd been wild to see that tomb rolled away and no one in there, and an angel sitting on it going, "What are you doing here? He's no longer here."
Yeah.
And so I've been crazy.
Y'all should come to the Good Friday service.
Yes.
We're really excited. This is the first time that we're going to have done at least I've been here for a while. Like we're going to have done a Good Friday service that I'm aware of at Southcrest. And
It's gonna be unique.
It's gonna be unique. I think it's gonna be a really special time, though.
Mm-hmm.
I hope y'all, college students, I hope y'all come and experience that with us.
Venue 6 p.m.
yeah.
on Friday,
The 18th. Yeah.
Yep. It'll be just kind of set the tone. It'll be somber.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of like necessarily us speaking about joy or hope.
Right.
And the whole reason is we want to reflect on, what happened on that Friday.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, Easter.
Yes.
Sunday's coming, right? Like, the reality is that Jesus is alive, right?
Mhm.
That's what we believe. So we're not like pretending that's not the case or something like that. But yeah, I love that. So I'm super excited about, like you said, to set the tone for Easter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, to spend a really intentional moment together as a church to set up Easter. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, I think it's going to make Sunday morning or Saturday night, if you come on Saturday night, really just all the more special.
Yeah, we've got some cool stuff planned for it,
Yeah.
and so I'm excited for people to experience it.
For sure.
I think it'll make the season a lot more intentional.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for showing up again. Thanks, Andrew, for the root beer candy in advance. Thank you. Go get you some. It's gonna be good. Hey, share this if it's helped you find your greatest pleasure and purpose in Jesus. That's what we were trying to do here. So share it if it did that. We'll see you Good Friday. Anything else? We good? We got this.
We got this. We're
We
good.
did it. You're sent. See y'all.